Ever since Caitlin Clark has declared for the WNBA draft earlier this year, there has been some serious discourse surrounding racism and everybody just being a victim despite the game growing in viewership and attendance at an all-time high this year for every single team. But despite all of that, there has been nothing but disrespect towards Caitlin Clark and just blaming the Fever fan base despite the legendary Sue Bird confirming that this has been a problem in the WNBA for a long time.
Actually has to go. That has to go. I understand why at times it's been used. It's kind of just when you're in an interview and you get asked a question, it's kind of easy to go, oh, the Fever fan base.
Yeah, what do you mean by that? That has to go.
Oh, these new fans. It has to go because it's not the Fever fans. It's not Caitlin fans. That is a large group of people. Let's stick with the Fever for a second. That is a large group of people. And what we're talking about as we get into the meat of this, we're talking about the faction of that group that is pushing racist agendas and is pushing hate and creating divisiveness online.
From DeJounte Carrington to Angel Reese to Cheryl Swoops to quote-unquote OG WNBA fans to arguably even the best player on the planet, A'ja Wilson, I'm going to break down each one of these cases just to point out how ridiculous it is to not only be ungrateful and disrespectful to the main source of the reason why many people are just watching women's basketball, but for these women to prove to us why the league was never growing in the first place. Starting off with the most recent case of A'ja Wilson, if you keep up with women's basketball, you know where I'm going with this. At the beginning of the season, right after Caitlin Clark won her first WNBA game on May 25th, she said, quote unquote, a lot of people don't think that it's about black and white, but for me it is, because if you could be a top notch at your game as a black woman, but yet that's maybe not what people don't want to see. Newsflash, A'ja, people tune into Caitlin Clark because of her basketball ability, not because of the color of her skin. And I find it ironic that in the NBA, neither the fans or the players say this because it's nonsense. I mean, the two best players in the NBA are white, and Anthony Edwards is black, and he's certainly getting promoted more by the media simply because of his playstyle and personality off the court. There are a lot of people that think that A'ja came out and said this because she was a little bit salty that not only did Caitlin Clark sign a bigger Nike contract than A'ja, but she got the offer while she was still in college, while it took A'ja year 6 in the WNBA to get it. At the end of the article, you could see that A'ja kind of retracted the statement by saying that she doesn't remember it, but fast forward to 2 weeks ago, A'ja was mic'd up for this conversation for some reason, and while talking to Kelsey Plum, she goes off. Since there's a video, I'm not even going to quote it, you just roll the tape.
Us as black women, Paige reminds me a lot of you. Like, you say you're not really about me, and she knows how her privilege has gotten her to that point, and also, like, she's good at basketball, obviously. But, like, she understands her privilege, and like, what pushes her over the top, in a sense. It reminds me a lot of you. And I mean, that's a compliment.
Now, as you can see, A'ja is referring to Paige Becker's SB speech a few years ago where Paige gives flowers to all the black women that essentially build the sport. However, in the video, when A'ja said that it was because of her white privilege that got her there, Twitter completely blew up. This made fans do a little bit of research. I mean, they ran a background check on A'ja, and it comes to find out that A'ja actually went to a private school worth $20,000 a year. It kind of reminds me of that scene in 8 Mile where Clarence is trying to act all tough, and he kind of gets exposed at the end by Eminem by saying that he went to a private school. Which is true. I mean, if you're going to a grade school worth more than most people's college tuition, if that's not privilege, then I don't even know what it is. Add everything that I just told you onto the fact that Juju Watkins, a USC freshman who is easily a top 3 player going in the country next season, just signed a Nike and Gatorade deal within the last week despite being the same color as A'ja, and that just invalidates A'ja's statements even more. Personally, I think that A'ja Wilson handled the new wave of fans the worst because it just seems that she just isn't a great person who just happens to be really good at basketball. And there's also a darker side of A'ja Wilson and a certain individual that she hangs out with, but we won't get into that today. If you know, you know. I'm going to get into DeJounte Carrington. And if you don't know who she is the most improved player in the WNBA this season and is the girlfriend of one of Caitlin Clark's teammates. If you watch the WNBA and the NBA, then you'd see this comparison easily. She's like the WNBA version of Dylan Brooks. Good defensive player, but always looking for a viral moment. I mean, ever since the first matchup, she had flopping antic when Caitlin Clark drew a foul at the moment, and I think that at that moment, she knew that she wanted to capitalize off it. If you don't believe me, then I'll let the analytics do it. Here is right after that game when she shot up in social media followers, and if it weren't for her one-sided beef with Caitlin Clark, I don't think that she would be getting this much attention, and honestly I can't knock her for that. What I can criticize is when her team, the Connecticut Sun, played against the Fever on August 28th. The Fever ended up winning, and with her tweeting that the Fever fans have the nastiest fans in the WNBA. This is simply not true, and this is the easiest way to debunk this. For one, I'm not denying that the Fever does not have toxic or even racist fans, because they do, just like the 11 other fan bases in the WNBA. The correct statement would be that the Fever have the most fans in the W, and because of that, if you do something on the court like intentionally try to take out the star player with an unnatural closeout motion, knowing that you have long nails, of course you're going to get hate. As far as the number goes, 1% of 1,000 is 10, 1% of 100,000 is 1,000, and 1% of a million is 10,000, and the Fever fanbase has by far the most fans, which at this point I would say it's in the millions based on the view count. Do you see where I'm going with this? The more apples you have, the higher chance there will be a few bad apples, and this does not validate the racist remarks or death threats that she says that she's receiving. Of course it is warranted, but Just yesterday on a live with Caitlin Clark's teammate, Alyssa Smith, she makes a joke about how she got poked in the eye despite not touching her, referencing her incident with Caitlin Clark in the playoffs. Just take a look.
Ow! I'm sorry. You poked me in the eye. You did.
I did not poke
Did you do it on purpose?
I did not poke you in the eye.
Did you do it on purpose?
I don't know, you guys can form your own opinion on it, but I am pretty sure that these are not the same thing. This is just weird behavior and another moment of DeJounte just trying to go for a viral moment, and you can kind of see in the video that Alyssa, despite most likely getting traded in the offseason, not even acknowledging that weird behavior from her girlfriend. Let me know what you guys think of that though. I will make a part 2 to this video with Cheryl Swoops and the UConn head coach Gino. If you guys show love to this one, make sure you hit that subscribe button and let me know what you guys think in the comments, man. Peace out.